Hello, welcome into the CHGO White Sox podcast presented by Sunnyside Cannabis Dispensary on this Sunnyside Cannabis Thursday. Use promo code HICHGO when you check out to qualify for 50% off your first 3 online purchases. Exclusions apply. Sunnyside Cannabis Dispensary, bright buys every day, only for 21 plus or Illinois medical card holders. Welcome in. I'm Sean Anderson. Alongside with me, the full CHGO White Sox crew. That is CHGO White Sox beat writer Vinnie Duber with the lovely pennants behind him. Vinnie, we got cut off by the start of the show. Is it anything specific? Is it any pennant you can find? Is it the new amalgamation of the Big Ten?
Probably by the give it a few decades and it'll probably cross the whole country to be the Big Ten. No, it's the places that my wife and I have traveled to. It's all the states that my wife and I have traveled to. So there's one for each state we've gone and visited.
Very neat. So is it the college or is it just a state pennant?
There's a company, there's a pennant company that I like that has made one for every state. So I've got quite the collection, and they'll go up as we visit them.
Well, now Herb Lawrence, I feel out of the loop. Herb Lawrence,
hello.
You can follow him at EcknerWall23. He's our CHGO White Sox community leader. I feel out of place because Vinny's collecting pennants of all the states that he's going to, and you are trying to check off all 30 Major League Baseball parks. Where are you at on that?
Still at 20. I haven't moved this year because we had the whole bar thing. So yeah, Courtney also wants to go in to see every state, but I was like, what do I have to do in North Dakota or Montana?
North Dakota's up there.
Oh my God, you've already been.
I have been in North Dakota.
I would also have both the North Dakota, South Dakota, and Iowa triumvirate. I'd also have Nebraska checked off. I mean, it's brief stays, but I mean, even if you've crossed into the border, I think it counts, Vin, right?
I don't know about that. We have a little bit higher bar. I think it's usually a few nights. We made an exception for North Dakota because I don't think we're ever going back to North Dakota. We were only there one night, but we did the thing to do in North Dakota, so that's it.
Is that the Badlands?
No, that's in South Dakota. We went to Roosevelt National Park in North Dakota. Saw the bison. Yeah.
Oh, okay. I thought that's where all the presidents were in the mountain.
That's also in South Dakota. That's
okay.
Mount Rushmore.
All right. So it makes sense why you had the South Dakota pendant, because there was things to do in South Dakota.
Correct.
All right. We're also being produced today by Sarah. Hello. All right. And let us know your thoughts in the comments. Hit that thumbs up button. Make sure you're subscribing to the CHGO Sports YouTube channel. We've had shows going on all throughout this Sunnyside Summer Thursday, and we'll have you covered as the Bears season approaches. And we have a brand new podcast, The 85, with Cole Kmet. Shout out to Ink and Law too for presenting that. But you got Cole Kmet and Adam Hogue. They just had DJ Moore. We have 2 Bears. 2 of the 3 people on the podcast are Chicago Bears. They're not random people. I know you love these random people here, but like you could go buy Cole Kmet and DJ Moore's jersey. We're working on the Adam Hogue jersey, I think, but like it's a very cool project that we're very excited for over at CHGO Sports. On today's show, the Chicago White Sox are not that good of a team. There's a lot of excitement about the Chicago Bears, not so much with the Chicago White Sox. The Sox currently sit at 29-83. The removal of Pedro Grifol is still recent. It's within the month, and the interim tag is on Grady Sizemore. Sizemore has that lone victory where he got covered in all the substances under the sun, but he also has a lot of losses to his career managerial record. We'll talk about if the White Sox can avoid losing 120 games in a season, the record set by the 1962 Mets. We also have an interview from Vinnie Duber. He chatted with new third base coach Justin Jirschele, and then we'll talk about the new report today that Major League Baseball will be looking for starters to go 6 innings or throw 95 pitches, or before they allow 3 earned runs or less. We'll get into it. We'll talk about all the implications of that later on in the show. But gentlemen, we have 40 games left, not 39, as I thought, Herb Lawrence. We have 40 games left. The White Sox have to avoid going 12-28. If they go 12-28 over the next 40 games, they will have 120 losses on the season. I know we've been talking about this team and how bad they are, and we can look at the win percentages of Pedro Grifol and Grady Sizemore, but we're not at the finish line yet. Can the White Sox somehow turn on the burners and get those 13, 14, 15 wins that are necessary to avoid infamy?
Infamy.
Infamy.
Yeah, can they? Yeah, of course they can. Will they? I have huge doubts about it because the 40 games remaining, they have 24 of those games are versus teams that are in a pennant chase or a wild card chase currently. So only 16 games versus teams that are out of it. 7 versus Detroit, I think 6 versus the Anaheim Angels, and then 3 versus Oakland. And that's it. Everybody else is in the hunt for a wild card or a division title. And so those teams will be playing hard. And we've seen the White Sox play versus all these teams, even the Oakland Athletics, who they lost 2 or 3 to, and they still got those 3 games left at guaranteed rate field. So winning 12 of 40, that is a 30% winning percentage. They're at 23-8 right now for the season. So you would have them to play better than they've had all season long, pretty much for the whole season in these last 40 games for them to win more games to not break that record. So if I'm a betting man, no, I think they're going to set the record for modern day losses in a season.
Yeah, I just don't really see anything changing in terms of, the way they've been playing. I think that you've seen over the last few days, maybe, they've been a little bit more excited. They've got maybe a little bit more pep in their step with Grady Sizemore coming in, and they sure do like him. But has it changed the results? Not really. This is a team that's on pace still to lose 123 games. So not just 120, but a few more than that it would take to set a new record, surpassing those Mets. But I don't understand how you could suddenly think, oh yeah, they'll do better than they have done, kind of thing. I think we kind of avoided this topic, not avoided, just maybe didn't get to it. But the trade deadline took a lot of their good players away. I mean, this team is worse. The roster is worse than it was before the trade deadline. I don't really think that you can look at the lineups that are going out there on a nightly basis and be confident any day, right? I mean, certainly there's the starting pitching there has reasons to believe that they'll continue to do well, right? Garrett Crochet's been great all year. We've talked about how impressive some of the younger guys have been, be it Davis Martin or Jonathan Cannon, or if Drew Thorpe should come back off the injured list. But those guys and pitchers of their ilk have been starting all year for this team, and the wins haven't come. So I think as we sit here right now, what reason would you have to think that they wouldn't continue on the pace that they've been on and lose 120 or more games?
Absolutely. And William asking in the chat, does Vegas have odds on how many wins/losses for the Sox? I will not throw out the sports book that I am getting this from. If you are that desperate and cannot find it on your own, let me know. I will let you know that sportsbook. But the White Sox line on that sportsbook over 39.5 wins at -152. So Vegas does believe that it's likely that they will go over 40 wins. 40 wins, though, it puts them at 40 and 120. So it's better if they're not 39 and 121, right? But is there any consolation in being 40 and 120?
Actually, 40 would lead them to 40 and 122 because, right, it's a 162 game seasons. So They would set the record right there with that. So Vegas already thinks they're going to be the worst team in baseball history.
You've been my math guy today, Herb.
Hey, man, what can I do? That's was a broken clock is right twice a year or twice a day, and a squirrel finds a nut, whatever that is. But yeah, I think that it is very possible that the White Sox go down as the worst team in baseball. Because think about the last 40 games. Yeah, you've been having good performances by Andrew Benintendi, good performances by Gavin Sheets as of late. Still lost. And think about all the rest of the players on that team. I don't know if there's self-starters or people who are motivated just by, hey, I'm wearing a Major League Baseball uniform. It has my name on the back of it. I'm going to play with some pride these last 40 games and not give up. I'm not going to accuse Luis Robert Jr. of tanking it, but where's the motivation for him to do extra, to be better? Where's the motivation for Andrew Vaughn, et cetera, down the line for them to, okay, I don't want to be embarrassed. I don't want to be placed in the territory of a expansion team. In 1962, it had no reason, had all the excuses in the world to be the worst team in baseball. Now I am a veteran player on a veteran team for the most part. with 40 games to go, where's my motivation to not be that guy, to not be that worst team in baseball? I don't know. I mean, if that is it, where you just don't want your names to be in the record books, do it. Otherwise, I don't know if they can avoid it, because those teams they're playing are definitely going to be trying to have the White Sox be the worst team in baseball history, because they're going to try to beat them. And anytime, you remember on Monday, Yankee fans were crestfallen that they lost to the White Sox for one game, even that they were close to them on Tuesday, and then eventually they beat the hell out of them yesterday. So these are the things that are going to be happening with all the rest of the teams. Like, we cannot lose a game to the White Sox. It's embarrassing.
Well, Herb, too, you're also kind of avoiding, you're sidestepping the main issue here. They could try as hard as they want. They might not be as good as any of these teams. And, I think you can take that, listen, they're all Major League Baseball players and they're professionals and everything like that. But if they try as hard as they can, that doesn't mean they're going to win. So, I mean, I think you can even take that element out of it and say, this is probably a team that is just going to be outmatched on a nightly basis, as they have been for the last 4+ months.
Right. And there's going to be zero series where you're going to feel like they're the favorites. Oakland does come to the G rate. And what did Brooks say about the G rate? Maybe TBD rate?
Yeah, no change as of yet, but it sounds like they've given the artist formerly known as Guaranteed Rate the ability to change the name if they so desire. But I don't believe that decision has been made yet. At least that's what it sounded like.
All right. So Oakland's going to come to the TBD rate on Friday, September 13th to the 15th. But I'm pretty sure since the All-Star break, the third best team in baseball has been the Oakland A's. Maybe that's because they've had 4 games against the Chicago White Sox. But still, like, I don't think you're going to feel like they're the favorites in that one. They do have a couple of games against the Angels. Do we feel like we could bully the Angels, Herb? Like, I like, if the White Sox go 1-2 in every series, they will finish with 12 wins, right? I think my math is correct on that one. Around 12 to 13 wins. So they need to win 1 or 2 here. And we know that they are a team, because they are so bad. They have a propensity to be swept. So they have to avoid being swept in these series. And they have to maybe win like 1 or 2 series. It does feel like an insane ask for this team.
It is. This is very much an insane ask. I mean, they've played the Detroit Tigers, I think, fine this year. I don't know the exact record. They have 7 games with them left. A home series, wraparound home series for 4 games at the end of this month, and then the last games of the year.
1-5 against Detroit.
So they suck versus Detroit. So yeah, will they get 1 there? Detroit, while not in the playoff hunt, is only like 7 games behind the last wild card. While they won't be trying to be bad, they're much better than the White Sox. We've seen them. Like, who's going to hit Tarek Skubal on this White Sox team? Are they going to be
on any team
by that time? Exactly. And then that Angel series you're talking about, the first one is in Anaheim. You know how that goes out there whenever the White Sox go to the West Coast, a good White Sox team. And then this team is just piss poor. And then by that time, the series versus the Anaheim Angels comes back the week after. It's like the last week of the season. I don't think those guys will be thinking of anything but golf plans and which guys to put on their fantasy team for that week. That's it. And that's human nature. But I wish, each one of them would just say, you know what? I don't want to be part of this. And I don't want to be a historic figure in this at all. Because when it's all said and done, we remember that Nolan Ryan was part of that 62 team, and all these other bums were part of the 62 team, but they persevered because they were a expansion team. The White Sox are not an expansion team, and they don't have a good team coming next year. There's not hope on the horizon for them. So I would hope that, as William says, just for pride, that you don't want to be embarrassed.
Well, and hey, Herb, we know that they're going to be a great team next year because season ticket prices are down 10%. So they come out to the G rate or the TBD rate for a great deal to watch history again. We are going to take a break, and we will talk more about the Chicago White Sox, and we'll talk more specifically to third base coach Justin Jirschele. Vinny had the chance to sit down. Was it standing?
It was sitting.
Okay. Whoa, sitting. All right, a sit-down chance with Justin Jirschele. We'll hear that right after the break. But we want to first let you know about our friends over at Ray CDJR. My wife has been very interested in buying a car, so this is very near and dear to me. If you are trying to get the best deal on a car, which hey, maybe you are, maybe your wife is showing you listings every now and then and every day. Go over to Ray Chrysler Dodge Jeep and Ram. I'll take care of you. Shop summertime savings going on now at Ray Chrysler Dodge Jeep and Ram, and save on the perfect new vehicle for you this August. Score new lower prices across their huge inventory during the Make This the Sale summer event. For a limited time, get 0% financing for 36 months on most of their new 2024 Jeep models, or shop over 125 vehicles priced under $20,000. Let the amazing team at Ray CDJR help you during your step of your car shopping journey. With Ray's Price Promise, the numbers you're hearing now are the same prices you can expect to shop in store or online, and that's because Ray's Price Promise means there's no changes, no add-ons, and no hidden fees. And since they prioritize affordability for their customers, hurry into Ray CDJR today and shop one of Chicagoland's largest inventories, then drive home with more money in your pocket than you'd expect. So if you're in the market for a new vehicle, then you have to check out the team at Ray Chrysler Dodge Jeep and Ram, because they are the only team we recommend. Visit them today on Route 12 in Fox Lake. And for more information, visit Ray CDJR in Fox Lake or raycdjr.com, serving the community since 1963. And when you're driving around in your brand new Ray CDJR, listening to your new favorite song, you probably want to, text your friends. Don't text and drive. You probably want to text your friends, though, once you're stopped, about that new song. Hey, did you hear that new MJ Lenderman song? And then when you go to the CHGO takeover and you see Alejandro, he could say, hey man, that song sucked. That's why it's great to have friends. But as I close out of the ad, we want to let you know about this great deal that Mint Mobile has. Mint Mobile is the fantastic wireless service that you've been paying for. Just the price is 100 times better. When you discover Mint Mobile, they offer premium wireless for $15 a month. When you purchase a 3-month plan, it's such an awesome deal that we can't keep it to ourselves. Friends don't let friends overpay for wireless. Say bye-bye to overpriced wireless plans and switch to Mint Mobile. Mint Mobile is here to rescue you and your squad with premium wireless plans starting at $15 a month. And all plans come with high-speed data and unlimited talk and text delivered on the nation's largest 5G network. So use your phone with any Mint Mobile plan and bring your phone number along with your existing contacts and ditch overpriced wireless with Mint Mobile's deal and get 3 months of premium wireless service for $15 a month. And to get this new customer offer and your new 3-month premium wireless plan for $15 a month, go to mintmobile.com/White Sox. That's mintmobile.com/White Sox. Cut your wireless bill to $15 a month at mintmobile.com/White Sox. $45 upfront payment required, equivalent to $15 a month. New customers on first 3-month plan only. Speed slower above 40 gigabits on unlimited plan. Additional taxes, fees, and restrictions apply. See Mint Mobile for details. All right, let's get into the Justin Jirschele interview. New third base coach for the Chicago White Sox, Justin Jirschele, called up from Charlotte, got the chance to speak with Vinnie Duber. I guess Vinnie got the chance to speak with Justin Jirschele. And here is Vinnie talking to Justin about the chance to come up to the majors, being around Grady Sizemore, the manager, and the exciting names down in Charlotte like Colson Montgomery, Brian Ramos, and more. Here's Justin Jirschele.
What have the last few days been like being up here with the big league team?
A lot of emotion, obviously, exciting, happy. Pretty surreal. Obviously, this organization has been the only organization that I've been with. Played for a little bit and then started coaching at a young age, and just very grateful for the opportunity to be here and be with these guys and this crew.
What has Grady been like as the manager for the last few days that you've been here?
He's been awesome. He comes and hangs out with the coaches all the time. He's very approachable. We can talk to him about anything that we need. And he asks us questions as well. So we really feel like we're all in this thing together and we're moving forward in the right direction.
Seems to be having a good time too.
For sure. Yeah, that's one of the big things. We're having fun. There's a lot of energy, whether it's during BP, during stretch, in the clubhouse, in the cages, and obviously it rolls over into the game at 7 o'clock. So it's been a great experience so far.
A lot of eyes up here in Chicago, obviously down on Colson Montgomery, down in Charlotte.
What was it like watching him work every day?
For sure. I think, it was exciting to be with him every single day. That's the most I've been with him over an extended period of time, obviously. Had him a little bit during the project, seen him at spring training, obviously, but to be thrown into the fire with him, so to speak, on a daily basis was fun. And obviously putting him in the lineup and watching him grow and develop. And, I think obviously he would tell you he's not having the offensive year that he expected or wanted to have. But again, kind of the same way we are right now is just finishing strong and looking for ways to be better moving forward and go into the offseason on a high note.
So many folks obviously look at what they can see, the stat line, right? But obviously there's more to evaluating, developing players down at the minor league level. What have you seen with your own eyes on Colson that maybe folks haven't seen by just checking the box score?
Yeah, I think, like I said earlier, he's going through a little bit of failure, and but he's been extremely consistent, playing every single day. And he's battled some injuries in years past, and this is really his first full year, to where he's been able to show up every single day and grind through a full minor league season. So that's been exciting to watch, to sit back and see him prepare and know that he's not where he wants to be offensively. But continuing to separate his offense from his defense and really just be the same guy every single day, regardless of what happened the night before. He's got a short-term memory, and he'll learn from things and grow from things each and every night. But again, just the consistency that he shows up with to the ballpark every day.
You mentioned his defense. What sort of progress have you seen from him on that front?
Yeah, I think just his sense of urgency, his internal clock, certain things like that we've worked on, from the start of the year. Continuing to have that urgency, going to his right, going to his left. The kid, he really cares about his defense. He wants to stay at shortstop, and obviously, he wants to prove that every single night. So, like I said, the biggest impressive thing was really just separating his offense from his defense and not carrying ABs out into the field and still continuing to make plays for us and get us off the field. And, I think, like I said, it's impressive for a 22-year-old kid to really go through true failure for the first time and to see consistent defense and at a primary position at shortstop.
Kind of the flip side of that, production standpoint for folks up here, Edgar Caro. I know you didn't maybe have the most extended time with him down there, but what have you seen from him, and is he someone who deserves kind of the excitement that he's causing up here?
Yeah, that's a special talent, really on both sides of the ball. Like you said, I haven't seen him a ton, but while I did see him and had the pleasure of putting him in the lineup every single day, he stands out. Obviously, can hit from both sides of the plate, has a hit tool from both sides of the plate, and also a power tool from both sides of the plate. And he's a guy that uses the entire field from both sides. And, he takes his walks, has a really good approach, and it's a professional approach and everything that he does, really, but especially on the offensive side. He's got a really good plan and a really good idea of what he wants to do. It's very mature.
He's a young guy, and obviously he's got the catcher position on top of the offense. What is it going to be like for him to kind of master what he needs to master in order to get up here?
Yeah, I think, just continuing to kind of the same as Colson, separating his offense from his defense, understanding that, he's at an extremely vital position back there, and, that needs to be first and foremost, right? The game calling and handling the pitching staff and understanding how we're going to attack hitters on a nightly basis and sticking with our plans regardless of what he does at the plate. There's going to be good nights and bad nights, as we well know in this game offensively. So, just continuing to stay consistent with his defense is going to be very, very vital for him.
I think a lot of folks thought they were going to see Oscar Colas up here for a little bit more time than he has been up here in his brief stay. What has it been like for him after kind of a really tough year a year ago down at AAA this year?
Yeah, it's been good. I think, like you said, a couple times back and forth here this year so far. I've been very pleased and impressed by, his maturity and his growth when he did both times get back down by us, understanding that, he needed to continue to put the work in. But especially I think the biggest thing for me that stands out is from last year to this year offensively anyways, is the maturity in his approach. There's a lot less chase there, and kind of understanding what pitchers are trying to do to him, and also where his hot spots are and where he can do the most damage, and stick to his plan, rather than just, in a sense, be a free swinger. So that growth there offensively has been great, and it's translated over into his defense as well. Just the maturity and the process of the daily work that it takes to be a consistent big leaguer has been big for him.
The expectations at the beginning of last year were obviously pretty high for him. Is he somebody who you think can still be an impact major league hitter?
Absolutely. There's a ton of talent there. Another guy that has a good hit tool and a power tool as well. And he can get in streaks where he'll hit 5, 6, 7 home runs in a week. I've seen it firsthand, obviously in the minor leagues, but just continuing, like I said, to stay consistent with his approach and understand that his time will hopefully come sooner than later, and he's just got to make the most of each and every day wherever he is, and stay with his approach, and he'll be okay.
Last guy, Brian Ramos, folks got to see him a little bit up here, going from AA to the majors to AAA. That can't be easy, but what has he been like down in Charlotte?
He's been great. Talk about a consistent player, consistent person on and off the field. Just a tremendous talent, a tremendous human being. Will give you the shirt off his back, and obviously there's tools across the board for him that he flashes on a nightly basis. And like you said, it's been a whirlwind of a year so far for him, coming up, going back down to rehab, and then coming back down to us in Charlotte. But again, just a quiet-spoken kid that the tools jump off the charts for you, with tremendous power with the bat. And he's a big, strong, athletic kid that can do a lot of nice things on the baseball field.
So I really like that, Vinny, and I really appreciated the sit-down chance that you had with Justin Jirschele, and thank you to Justin Jirschele for the time. As you guys know me, I'm going to bring up a point that is completely outside of anything that Justin Jirschele said, but in a way, it's all about what he said. Where is Wisconsin? Because this man's saying a boot, he's saying talk a boot, hot spots, and then power. He said, I guess can't even say it like him.
Do you know what they call water fountains up there, Sean?
What?
Bubblers.
In Wisconsin?
Yes.
Clintonville is just west of Green Bay. It's not even like the north of Wisconsin. It's like kind of the middle.
It's a magical place.
Yeah, to paraphrase Jesse Rogers, it's just about over the border.
Talk about a whirlwind. Oh my Lord. All right. That was something there from Justin.
Don't they eat like raw meat too? Like raw hamburger?
Probably. I think that's why Aaron Rodgers is going cuckoo. But anyways, I digress. I thought it was interesting to get the insight from Justin Jirschele, but I also have a question about Justin himself. It feels like Justin is a part of the White Sox family. Like, do we see a future with Justin, or is this Justin's possible last chance with the Sox? And like, this is the promotion to be like, hey, we don't really know what the next managerial chance is going to look like. And you probably feel like, you've gone up the ranks from A-ball to AA to AAA. We want to give you the chance in the major leagues. But, as we talk about Grady Sizemore, we all like Grady Sizemore, but, it just might not be in the cards for him to return with the White Sox. Is Justin getting this chance because he's done so much time with the White Sox system that this is a reward to finally get that chance at the major league level?
I don't know if the word reward makes sense. I mean, he's part of their staff. He's part of the organization. And when you need to backfill some spots, right, because you've made some staff changes, he's a perfectly logical candidate to get him up here. And I think in this situation, you got a lot of players on this roster who he managed down at AAA or who he's managed throughout the farm system, right? If you go back to think about his dad, who worked as a minor league manager and a minor league coach for such a long time. I don't think it's linear, right? I mean, like, Justin's a pretty young guy as far as manager as potential managers would go. His story is nowhere near over, and I think to see to be like, oh, they're going to hire from outside the organization, so Justin Jirschele is going to have to go somewhere else. Like, no, he can stay around the White Sox for as long as he likes, or as long as he's wanted. Minor league teams need managers too, and it's not always just, you're on deck for 3 years, and once that's up, you're never going to get it. He could, what's to say he can't be the AAA Charlotte manager for the next decade, right? I mean, or whatever. Maybe he becomes a roving instructor or someone in the player development part, or stays a part of the major league coaching staff. All those doors are open, and it's cool for him to get to come up here and get a taste of what it's like to be a major league coach for the last couple months of this season. And once that managerial search is complete, after the season concludes, we'll figure out what's next for him and everybody else on this staff.
Yeah, my bad. I wasn't trying to kick him out of the organization. We could talk more about Justin Jirschele in just a second. We'll talk more about Colson Montgomery as well. We have updated MLB pipeline prospect rankings, and unfortunately there is a fall for Colson, but as Justin said, it's a guy that is adjusting. Maybe there aren't too many red flags. We'll get into it, but Herb,
Yes.
you're not going to let us know about Liney's. That's the second one. You're going to let us know about Z-Biotics.
Sean, let me tell you.
Yeah.
There's a surefire way to wake up feeling fresh after a night of drinking. It's with Z-Biotics pre-alcohol. Pre-alcohol is the world's first genetically engineered probiotic. It was invented by a PhD scientist to tackle rough mornings after drinking. Here's how it works. When you drink, alcohol gets converted into a toxic byproduct in your gut. It is this byproduct, not dehydration, that is to blame for your next rough day. Pre-alcohol produces an enzyme to break up that byproduct down. Just remember to make Z-Biotics your first drink of the night. Drink responsibly, and then you'll feel your best tomorrow. From vacations to weddings to birthdays to reunions, there's so much going on. Get the most out of your summer plans by stocking up on pre-alcohol now. Go to zbiotics.com/CHGO Socks to get 15% off your first order when you use the code CHGO SOX at checkout. Pre-alcohol is backed with 100% money back guarantee. If you're unsatisfied for any reason, they'll refund your money, no questions asked. Remember, head to zbiotics.com/CHGO Socks and use the code CHGO SOX at checkout for 15% off. Thank you to Z-Biotics for sponsoring this episode and for our good times.
Guys, we talked about Wisconsin and how magical of a place it is. And of course, what comes from Wisconsin, but the pure liquid magic that is Leinenkugel's and all of their fantastic varieties of beers. Of course, guys, it's still summer. I know everybody's, Bears, football. No. It's still summer. And so we've got some days to enjoy the fine weather here, and nothing goes better with summer activities than Leinenkugel's Summer Shandy, that perfect taste combo of lemonade and beer. You can do it. You can drink it while you're enjoying a picnic by the lake. Maybe you're enjoying a tailgate down at the ballpark. It's perfect for summertime fun. But maybe you do want a little bit more variety. Herb's always sampling the different stuff they've got over there in the fridge when we're at the studios. You can have a lakeside cherry. Maybe you want a juicy peach. There's a grapefruit version of the shandy as well. I love that Liney's original, as well as the Vices, honey and berry. Miami is pretty good too, I guess, but that doesn't really have anything to do with Leinenkugel's. But there's so many different kinds that you can get your hands on, and they all taste oh so good. So, folks, flavor life's simple moments with Leinenkugel's, the official craft beer of the Chicago White Sox. Go to Liney.com/CHGO to find delivery options near you. That's LEINIE.com/CHGO, or pick up Leinenkugel's pretty much anywhere they sell beer. Leinenkugel's, flavor the moment, celebrate responsibly. The Jacob Leinenkugel Brewing Company, Chippewa Falls. Yes.
See, that wasn't that bad. That could have been a lot more awkward, but that wasn't too bad over Zoom. Let's go. All right.
Even Sarah joined in.
Did she? Yes.
Oh yeah.
Good job, Sarah. It's a Friday. We're feeling good here. We're singing as a crew. All right. Let's get into a little bit about what Justin said. And again, I'm not trying to kick him out of the organization. If he wants to be the AAA manager for the rest of his life, good for him.
I was just reading his dad's Wikipedia page. His dad has over 1,000 wins as a minor league manager. He managed the Omaha Storm Chasers from 1995 to 1997, from 2003 to 2011, and then from he was back in 2023.
Hey, man.
Just a lifer. You know what I mean? Some of these guys are just lifers, and that's how it goes.
I mean, you grew up like that. You don't mind minor league towns. You don't mind minor league travel. I think Justin's just a major league / organizational guy. And Jerry's going to have him around. Jerry's loyal. And so if Justin wants a job, I think Justin will have a job with the White Sox next year.
Well, and I'm gonna put this. This is gonna be the last time I'm gonna use this joke. We really can't use this joke anymore because Chris Getz's offseason is over. We're months away, right? And Pedro Grifol has been fired. Mike Tozar is gone. But Mike Jirschele, Omaha Stone Chasers, your organization that is,
Kansas City.
White Sox are just following the model. That they're just trying to do what Kansas City does. They see that they have a Jirschele down in the minor league system, and that's what Pedro Grifol told them. They said, "Hey, it's Mike Jirschele. So what's the next best thing to Mike Jirschele?
Bobby Witt Jr. Give us
Bobby
that.
Witt Jr. or Justin Jirschele.
Nope.
All right, maybe Colson Montgomery will be our next Bobby Witt Jr. Okay. All right. I got some looks there.
I'll take 3/4 of Bobby Witt Jr. I'll take half of Bobby Witt Jr. for Colson Montgomery.
If he hits like Bobby Witt Jr., that's a win. Colson Montgomery so far in Charlotte, although there is a 4.5-year age difference between him and the average age in AAA, in his 97 games in AAA, a 207 average, a 329 on base percentage, and a 337 slugging percentage. He has 13 homers, 16 doubles, 3 triples, along with 7 stolen bags, 2 caught stealing, 53 walks to 121 strikeouts. The numbers haven't looked too great over the past month, but I'll read them anyways. 11 games, 50 plate appearances, 195 average, 340 on base, and 415 slugging. So maybe he's finding a little bit of his way there. 5 walks to 10 strikeouts. What do we take away from Justin's comments about Colson Montgomery? And now with Colson, who started off this year at MLB Pipeline's 9th prospect, is now down to 28th. What do we make of Justin's comments, and what do we make of Colson's fall?
Well, I think they go kind of hand in hand, right? Which is, hey, we from afar can see the numbers, and we can see that they haven't been good, or certainly anywhere near what they were in kind of the small bursts of action that he got at the lower levels over the last couple of years. But it's always important to remember that the team is looking at other things, right? If they're happy with the approach at the plate, they might not care what the batting average is. Obviously those things should be in concert, but sometimes they aren't. And if they see things that they're happy with, then that's what they care about. As is the opposite is true, right? Say there's a guy hitting a whole ton of home runs, but he doesn't really do any of the other things that the team is looking for him to do to progress as an all-around player, then they're not going to be happy, even though we can look at a stat line and say, oh boy, look at all those home runs. So in the case of Colson and what Justin had to say, you kind of get a little bit of confirmation that the numbers are due to struggles and due to things that aren't going right exactly. But you get the behind the scenes look at that might end up aiding in Colson's development. There's maybe a silver lining to draw from some struggles, or what Justin referred to as failure, right? And that's, hey, you're finally experiencing this as a pro. It's not always going to be easy. Now you got to figure out how to dig yourself out of it. At the major league level, when a team is trying to win and win championships, having a player reach that point then could be a big problem. Okay, there's this guy who's flew through the minor leagues with no struggles at all, and now he's here and he can't hit major league pitching, and that's a big bad thing because we need him to help us win a championship. The argument goes that if you have that happen in the minor leagues and get it out of the way, you're better suited when you're going to run into that sort of stuff at the major league level, and might be quicker to respond to it. So that's the kind of silver lining view of it. But certainly I think you've got everybody realizing, and Colson probably chief among them, that this has not gone the way that he wanted to, or the way that anybody wanted it to so far this season. And maybe you're going to require a little bit more time down at the minor league level than we were all imagining when the season began.
And I know these sports are not the same, baseball and football and basketball, but I think every pretty much superstar had to go through some type of adversity before they became who they are. You just don't become a great player through just winning all the time. Like John Wall was talking about in high school and college, like he went to Kentucky. They didn't lose games. Then he gets drafted and they lost a bunch of games and his game wasn't good. And think about Colson. He's had injuries throughout his minor league season, but for the most part, he's done well with the bat. And this year, he's kind of having what Luis Robert's having. Is Luis Robert not a good player anymore? No, he's just having a rough year. And it could just be bat luck where he's just hitting the ball into the wrong spots and striking out a ton. 121 strikeouts already for Colson Montgomery. It's a ton. But as Vinny pointed out, as you point out, Sean, he's 22. He's young. These players are average 4.5 years older than he is, and they know what they're doing. And I just heard that audio that our guy Elijah Evans sent us, or from Future Sox, and he's like, in this level, these guys are trying to get you out, and the other levels, they're just trying to get the ball over the plate and trying to locate. AAA pitchers already know how to do that, and they're trying to get you out, and they're very successful already with Colson Montgomery. So I don't want him to go through struggles, but as Vinny said, maybe this is the birth of a better player on the other side of this, because he went through some struggles this year, and then a full year or another half year next year where he knows the league, knows the travel, all the stuff that comes with the AAA schedule. And next year he shows the player that he was last year, or the top draft pick the White Sox had a couple years ago. As I said before, there's no rush to get him up to the major leagues. This team won't be good next year. They probably won't be good the year after that. However long it takes for Colson Montgomery to get to the level that he needs to get to, and he tells you that he is a major league player, take that. You have him for a certain amount of time, and there's no rush to bring him up to the majors this year if he's not ready for it, which obviously he isn't. And if he doesn't do it by next year, I think you still are, you probably are like, oh, you got some pause in it because you're like, that's your 4th year in major league or in professional ball, and you're not at the major yet, but still, he'll only be 23 by next year.
Yeah, and I think the only player that didn't struggle with obviously this player struggled with racism, fairly important to point out. But I don't think anyone ever stopped Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, right? I mean, that dude won, I think, at every level. I don't think he lost in high school at any point.
He was also the best college basketball player ever.
Right. Well, that's what I'm saying. And then he immediately went into the league and won. Like, I'm just saying, like, I don't think
we need to compare Colson Montgomery to Kareem quite yet.
I'm just more saying that, like Herb saying, there's not a lot of people. I think I can only think of one person that has ever not gone through difficulties. You could even throw LeBron. I mean, LeBron's difficulties were fairly mundane. Oh no, I keep making it to the Eastern Conference Finals.
I don't think he went to the playoffs as a rookie year. That's it.
Boo-hoo. He was rookie of the year.
Amen.
LeBron James. I think it turned out fine.
Yeah.
But no, it's a fair point all around. And I think too, you can see players of a similar stature, Brett Beatty, lefty, playing third base, left-handed batting, but also ability to play third base. It seems like Colson will likely turn into a third base defensively. But he's a big frame, Beatty is, and he's down in AAA lighting it up. 2023, 121 plate appearances. He had a 298 average, a 388 on base, a 625 slugging. This is as a 23-year-old, so a year older than Colson. And then this year in Syracuse, Brett Beatty, 230 plate appearances, 250 average, 352 on base, 505 slugging. And he just recently got called back down to Syracuse. He's got 3 homers in his last 5 games. Like, it seems like that guy's figured out AAA, and he gets called up to the major leagues and still can't really figure it out. Like, we don't even know if Colson gets to this point where he's able to figure out AAA. It's not like major league pitching is going to get any easier. Like, you're just truly ratcheting it up to the next level. So it's definitely a journey with these guys. It's not always plug and play, and it's going to be interesting to see how he progresses. I think the biggest thing that I'm looking forward to is, as long as he's able to control the strike zone over that last, again, like 11 game sample, 5 strikeouts or 5 walks to 10 strikeouts. If he's able to be around a 350 on base percentage guy, especially with his batting average being around 200, I think that's a pretty good sign. At least he's able to, kind of negotiate the strike zone. we just want to see progress from the hitter and from the player. I always thought that 2024 was a little bit too early. We saw Tim around the same age get called up in May. So maybe might be a little bit too early of a timeline, but maybe we see Colson early May of 2025 if he seems to have really adapted well to AAA pitching next year. But I think you're on the point there, Herb. I don't think we're going to see Colson in 2024. All right. Anything else from Justin Jirschele before we get into this recent report from Jesse Rogers and ESPN?
I mean, the stuff he said about Edgar Caro, like, got me excited. I see the stats, and the stats are great. The 300, 400, 500 slash line, amazing in 23 games down there in AAA. He's a year younger than Colson Montgomery, by the way. Switch hitting catcher. I mean, what more can you want for a young hitter that hits with power, hits with average, gets on base, and is a catcher behind the plate? So, like, I'm very hyped up. And that's a guy that through this time of AAA, if he continues this hot streak, I could see maybe a late call up. But if he doesn't, I'm definitely 2025. That's the man. That's the guy I'm giving majority of my catching duties to.
And you got to give him that time too to learn your young pitching staff, right? What better way to bring your young pitching staff along than to pair them with your young catcher right away, have them grow together. And I mean, if we're talking about a pitching staff full of Cannons and Thorpes and Martins and Iriartes next year, oh my, what better way to allow them to further develop into your rotation of the future than to give them the guy that you want them to be working with and let them do that in a year where it's okay to struggle. So I don't see him being on the team for the bulk of next year as a too quick of a move at all, especially if he shows down at AAA that he's got things figured out.
I was muted. Should I mute? Yeah, no, I'd be honestly fine if they called him up today. if we had an Indeed breaking news that Edgar Caro is now a major leaguer, I'd be fine with it. William says, poor Chucky Robinson. I think it might be beneficial for the pitchers to have Edgar Caro and Corey Lee start that process now. It seems like Corey's going to be on the team for next year. It seems like Edgar Caro is going to be on the team for next year. Why wait? I understand that you probably want to get Caro a little bit more seasoning. Maybe you wait until September call-ups, especially if you feel like he's going to be your only rookie that's going to start the year. Maybe you give a shot, especially with the new rules in the draft, and you're going to be blocked outside the top 10. Maybe you try to give your team the just best chance to win Rookie of the Year. But I'm so excited with Caro. Everything that we're hearing from Jirschele, everything that you're seeing now that he progresses level from level, it doesn't seem like those level changes are really affecting him. But he also has a brother that is 43rd in the MLB Pipeline's prospect. So every single day, not only does he get to wake up and be like, oh, hey, I have the goals of being a major leaguer, but they think I'm better, or they think I'm worse than my brother. Like, I mean, I think William probably benefited from Wilson's major league career. I think that Hefferson and Edgar Caro's probably sibling rivalry will hopefully benefit both of those guys into great MLB careers. All right, let's get into our final topic. Jesse Rogers of ESPN today talked about MLB rule changes that they are looking forward to, just due to starting pitchers reaching certain goals that have made baseball games more interesting. You can go read the piece, and Jesse has a lot of different quotes from around baseball. But the objective that Major League Baseball is looking forward to is to prioritize starting pitching and to not have leave a struggling starter in to reach the innings threshold while his ERA skyrockets or at the risk of injury. So the league's conversation has carved out instances when pitchers would not have to pitch a required 6 innings. And the instances would be if he throws 100 pitches, he gives up 4 or more earned runs, or he gets injured with a required injured list stint to avoid manipulation. So what they would be looking forward to implement is a rule that starters, if you are the first pitcher in the game, you have to go 6 innings unless you throw 100 pitches, you get rocked, you're giving up earned run after earned run, or you're injured. Do we like this idea for Major League Baseball? Is this a problem that needs a solution?
I don't know if I would say that it is a problem that needs a solution, but I wasn't really sure that any of the rule changes recently needed to be implemented anyway, with the exception of the pitch clock, which has been fantastic. But I wasn't sure when they said, "Oh, we're going to make the bases bigger to encourage more stolen bases." I was like, "What? Who cares? Why do the bases need to be bigger?" And yet, it has encouraged more stolen bases, and it has been very cool to watch. So, I know we're not necessarily in the habit of giving the people who run Major League Baseball the benefit of the doubt, or or something along those lines, but after the suite of rule changes they've made recently that have been so successful, why not keep it going? I think that would probably be for the better if you could be guaranteed that you're going to see a starting pitcher go a certain amount of innings. You'd buy a ticket and to watch a certain guy, maybe and not necessarily have him be run out of there early. Again, I'm having trouble thinking of it as a problem that needs to be fixed today, but considering the success they've had with some of the other rule changes lately, I'd be willing to see it be given a shot.
Think about the last couple times when White Sox pitchers go out and pitch. We've been saying, "Oh man, 4 2/3," and kind of satisfied with it. It's weird. I know the young pitchers. I know Davis Martin went last night a little longer, but the one before 4 2/3, Jonathan Cannon 4 2/3, and all season long, that's pretty much what pitchers do. And I'm looking that Rob Manfred is looking at the offense this year, and it not being what it used to be. And he's like, "How can I put it in there without using the juice balls again?" Well, have the pitchers face batters for a third time. And that's probably what they're wanting to do, because we all know when you go through that third time in the order, most pitchers get hit a little harder than the first two times. And so I'm thinking that that's what he's thinking. And I'm in favor of anything that's going to produce a better product, and having pitchers with more length does produce a better product. And it, like you said, you're not stuck to being a 6-inning pitcher. If you're getting rocked, your ass is out of the game early. So first inning, 4 runs. Hey man, you're eligible to get your ass out. But yeah, I'm tired of seeing pitchers just go 5 2/3 instead of, like, the threshold of a quality start a couple of years ago, I thought was like at the bottom with 6 innings, 3 earned runs or less. Now, if you go 5 innings and give up 4 earned runs or less, people are like, "Oh, that's fine." And I don't like that at all. I want you to be earning your spot as a starter. And I thought this also will detract from the openers that they've been having and bullpen games like teams have been having. And I don't think teams like that. I don't think Major League Baseball likes that. If you're going to be going in for 2 innings for one pitcher and then bring in 5 of your 95-mile-per-hour throwers that all hit from a different angle, which makes batting much harder. Rob Manfred's like, "I don't like seeing all these damn strikeouts. I want to see ball go over the fence a little bit more." And the way you do that is have the starters go a little farther without having them risk themselves to injury.
Well, you say go farther. I mean, I was thinking about this the other day. I mean, unless you're moving the mound back, unless it's no longer 60 feet, 6 inches, and you're just giving hitters more reaction time, I think this is a sensible move. And I think this is more sensible than changing the dimensions of a baseball field. So I'm all for seeing at least a season of it. I want my game to kind of get some steam back up. I would love to see baseball thriving again. I do think it's still a fantastic sport. I don't think anything's wrong with it. And I think the baseball pitch clock has obviously improved the ability to watch games. I mean, consistently, we're not checking our time because we know it's going to be 2.5 hours or less, somewhere in between a 20-minute band of 2 hours and 50 minutes or 2 hours and 20 minutes. Like, they've been pretty consistent. It's got a nice flow to it. It's just the offense has been horrible. I mean, you look at this White Sox offense, and I know it's the White Sox offense, but there's a lot of hitters hitting under 200. And you can even see some of the guys that are batting, 5th or 6th or 7th for the opposing team, and they're hitting under 200. I miss the days of just John Rauch meatballs, 88 miles per hour right down the middle, right? Go look at that first home run Mike Cameron hit in that 4-homer game, right? Juan Soto's, like, the pitch difficulty is pretty insane. on all 3 of those home runs. If you put that in complexity, if you go look at the first home run that Mike Cameron hit, I mean, John Rauch should have just put it on a tee for him. Like, that was the meatball of all meatballs. And that used to just be a Tuesday night for Major League Baseball. Hey, go look at the 55 home runs that were hit in Major League Baseball, because the starters were throwing 88 and everyone was on steroids. And that's what we loved. We all loved that type of baseball. So if we're not going to have athletes juicing, if we're not going to be giving them metal bats, then I'm all for this.
Yeah, I think offense is what sells. It's sexy. No, I know there are people out there that are old school and they're like, oh, I love a nice 1-0 pitch battle, which at times sounds good. But also, I think that the prevalence of what they're doing right now, where they're just like, hey, get through a couple times through the order. We got X amount of pitchers that can cover the back ends of those innings. That is creating a system of, firstly, there's no great starters. And if you are, you're like, separating yourself from all the also rans. Like, there's very few people that can go 8 innings now. Like, I think there've been maybe 15 complete games this year. I don't know if have the White Sox thrown one of those.
No.
Yeah. So like, they used to be like a rotation through a season used to have 15. Now we can't even get it through the league because of the rules. I'm sure there are pitchers that can do it, but managers and organizations don't allow it to happen anymore. And it's smart for them not to allow it. They want to keep their pitchers healthy and they want to keep offenses down. Like, and people always talk about the olden days and the 56 hit streak by DiMaggio. It was easier back then because you're facing pretty much the same pitchers and the same 7 teams that you face all the time. If DiMaggio was playing now, he would still be a great hitter, but he would have to go against a pitcher who's throwing 95 in the first, a pitcher who's throwing 95, maybe a different pitcher in the fourth. In the sixth, a different damn pitcher who's throwing something different. And remember, he's a switch hitter, so he's going to be running into righties, lefties, and changing up. That's why that record won't be broken. And then also because it's just hard to game plan for 4 different pitchers during a 9-inning game.
And just to go off of that, what I have loved about 2 of the White Sox pitchers that we have seen, especially in that Yankee series, Jonathan Cannon and Davis Martin, those guys have 5 pitches that they rely on, 5 pitches that they'll go to the well at least 10% of the time within a game. And that has been one of the more encouraging parts of Brian Bannister's development, is less of a focus on velocity and maybe more of a focus on, hey, what can you throw and what do you feel comfortable throwing? And, I think there's been some great success. Martin's hung a couple of those curveballs, but we'll work on it. He's just coming back. But that's going to do it for the CHGO White Sox podcast. We will be back on Sunday to wrap up the Houston Astros and Chicago White Sox series. Hopefully they don't get swept. Garrett Crochet starts on Friday against Spencer Ragetti. So we'll see how that shakes out for the Chicago White Sox. That's Vinnie Duber, our CHGO White Sox beat writer. We appreciate him getting that interview with Justin Jirschele, and you could read his work up at allchgo.com. He has a piece from yesterday about Grady Sizemore and the potential of him being the guy next year. The man in the middle is Herb Lawrence. You can follow him at Eknermall23. I'm Sean Anderson. We appreciate you hanging out with us. Hit that thumbs up button, and thank you to Sarah for producing the show. We'll talk to you on Sunday. Goodbye.
We all silly like the mayor.